Islam, Hotep, Shalom, Assalamu Alaikum. I want to welcome you to another show of Conscious Vibes Radio. I am again your host, Ramiel Bay, and tonight we actually have a very, very special show that we'll be bringing to you. We have the boss lady from Spices of Life Network, who's merging her show in with us to get this information out to her audience. So, can you hear me okay, boss lady?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you well. Go ahead and introduce yourself, and we'll pick up from there.
All right. Well, thank you. I'm so excited to be joining Conscious Vibe Radio tonight on Vibrations Radio Network. I am the boss lady, and I represent Spices of Life. And we have our own network, the Keep It Spicy Network, and we are encouraging our listeners to call in tonight at 914-803-4501 if you're listening online. Tonight's topic is a very, very special topic, and it's very interesting to me, so I felt like this would be something that I would want to share, this information I would want to share with our listeners. So thank you, Brother Ramiel, for inviting us, and we're here. Listeners, if you have any questions throughout the show, you can make sure to press 1, and myself or Brother Ramiel will be happy to bring you in to answer your questions. At this time, I'll turn the show back over to Brother Ramiel, and we will continue to move forward.
All right. So the way it's going to work, so you're listening on 2 different networks. If you called into the Conscious Vibes line, I can still see you when you are ready to comment or ask the question. We have the live chat launch also. But I want to say something real briefly. When I decided to do this show, when me and the good brother Abdullah decided to go ahead and put together this show, my first thought was to open it up to as many networks that I could, because the information, as we all know, within our communities is much needed. And I wanted to say thank you to the boss lady, because she was really, her and Brother Anthony Collins was really the only people who responded to get their shows, get their networks together. And Anthony is actually the owner of this network, so his show, couldn't be on, but he's behind the scenes, helping out and doing his thing. But I want to say thank you for that, because you have some people who are so worried about whether something's going to offend their domas, their kindred, or their guests, or so on and so forth, that they don't really take a hold of truth. And our mission on Conscious Vibes is all about truth. And that's it. Not opinions. We are here to present historical, documented facts to the audience, and so on and so forth. So, without further ado, we'll bring in Brother Abdullah Bey. Can you hear me, Brother Abdullah?
Islam, assalamu alaikum, beta alaikum.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I can.
Oh, man, I'm glad to have you on. I won't even hold you up much. I'll let you do a small introduction and say what you need to say, and then we can dive right on in.
Yeah, dive right on in. I want to thank you for both of you for having me, and it's indeed an honor, and I'm looking forward to tonight's presentation, and I trust I do it great justice. Yeah, so I most people know, I have a newspaper called The Masonic Gate. It's been out this is the second year of the paper. First published the paper last December. I've gotten 3 issues out so far, and the paper's been distributed in about 40 states and in about 10 countries. I also have the paper online. My website is moorcivilletter.net. That's MOORISCIVILETTER.net. That's MORISCIVILETTER.net. The paper can be purchased online for $1.50 there for those who will want it. The first issue I have posted was the astronomical geometrical origin of Boaz and Jachin, The Lunar Solar Calendar Explained, and that came out in December of last year. The second issue came out in April, which is April, May. This is the Masonical, Astronomical, and Geometrical Origin of July 4th. And the current issue was printed about 2 months ago. It's titled The Illuminati and Illumination of the Mind, the Ancient Musical Scale, Pineal Gland, Melanin, DNA, and Cellular Memory. So this is a very, in fact, this issue, Sabir Bey, of the Sabir Bey show, suggested about 10 months ago that I actually put together this issue. And he thought that it would be connect with a lot of the youth. In fact, it's doing that. You know, a lot of the young adults and are actually excited about this particular Illuminati piece. You know, because this has been propagandized. You know, with Jay-Z and Beyonce, Kanye West, and so they're curious about what an Illuminati is. You know, so I'll go and get into that as well. You know, so I definitely want to thank you again for having me. So we're going to look at we have broken this down to 2 parts, etymology, a guide to etymology, a guide to Christmas is the first part, and then our second part is the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, Christmas in the winter solstice explained. You know, and I can see why some people would be a little thrown off by that title, you know, not understanding the etymology of it, its cosmological and astronomical origin. And then what causes the confusion or the mysticism is actually the connotations that's been applied to words. I had a conversation on Sunday with a European at Philadelphia at the 69th Street station. I was on my way to get my daughter, and he came over to me and asked me a question, and he said, "What do you need to do to what do you need to do to get to heaven?" So I asked him, "Well, can I ask you a question?" And I asked him, "Well, where is heaven?" You know. And so he said, "Well, heaven is where you want it to be." And I said to him, "Are you aware that our words?" And I said, "Well, also he further asked me, is Jesus Christ your Lord and Savior?" I said, "Yes, Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior." So I said, "Jesus Christ." I pointed. We were near the door. So I pointed to the sky. I said, "Jesus Christ is right there. The actual Son, S-U-N, the actual Son, that's Jesus Christ." So yes, Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, all right, pointing to the actual Son, because without the Son, we have life. We have no life. So he said, "Well, where do you get that from?" I said, "It's called etymology, where etymology is the history and origin of words." You know what I'm saying? When he said to me that, "Well, words change meanings." I said, "No, words do not change meanings. Words are inanimate. So words do not change meanings. People create connotated meanings. Group of people, group of men, or group of society, or secret societies create connotated meanings to suppress the original meaning." So I wanted to start off with that, so we can clarify that words do not change meanings. Connotated meanings are added to words. So words do not give themselves meaning. Something that's inanimate, all right, well, as far as sounds, morphs. Those sounds are put together. The particular letters are put together to create a word. So that's done by people. That doesn't happen on its own. So keep this. I just wanted to clear that up. So I wanted to give people a basic etymological lesson. We've been given a limited education, we've been indoctrinated, and about how to use a dictionary. You have what's called your etymological brackets and your entry-level meanings. Most of us are aware of the entry-level meanings. They're numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, so forth. That's called your entry-level meaning. Now, within that, you'll see a lot of the dictionaries will have is called the etymological brackets. Within the etymological brackets is the etymology of the word. Etymology is the history, origin, the true meaning of the word, coming from the Greek eton, which means history, origin, your language labels derived from French, or derived from Latin, derived from Old English. All right, so the less than sign. Some dictionaries will have the less than sign, and that denotes the derived from. Others will have FR period, means denoting which is abbreviation for from. So I just want to be aware. So just in case you see the less than sign, that means derived from. So you'll have, say, for instance, you have the word status, and status is, as the root word is STA, which means stand. Now, in the American Heritage Dictionary of the English language, that's where you have your Indo-European roots section in the back of the book. I want to show you how that works and how valuable it is. Now, the key to understanding is studying words by family. As opposed to studying words individually, you're going to study words by family. One of the Indo-European root is STA. You look up the word station, or say status in this case, and you'll see the root word STA. All right, and it means stand, place, and it'll say C, coming from the Latin statio, C, STA, and appendix. So the STA, which is the Indo-European root, means coming from the Hindus, implying Sanskrit origin, in the appendix. The appendix is in the back of the book. In the American Heritage Dictionary of the English language, you see that in the Indo-European. Now, why is that valuable? Because what it does, by knowing the Indo-European root, it actually places the word in its family and lets you know that there are other derivatives of that root word. You have STA, STI, and SIST are derivatives or other forms. So the question is, you ask yourself, does this root word, STA, have other forms? Yes, STI and SIST are two other forms. So now you're starting to broaden, because now you're placing the word in its family. So STA, STI, and SIST all mean stand. You have words like constitution in STI, station, establish, staple, standard. STI, prostitute, institute. SIST, consist, insist, resist, desist. And all those words are in the same family. Its root word, their root words have the same meaning. So this is valuable. Instead of studying words individually. Now there's another family of words, and that the Indo-European root is DHE, is the Indo-European root. And what are the root words that are derived from the Indo-European root, DHE, are FIC, FAC, FY, and FIC, FAC, FY are other root words that are derived from that. So let's look at this. It's FEC. So you have FEC, FAC, FY, and FIC are all mean make or do. So we have FIC, fiction, fictitious. You have FA, factor, manufacture. You have FY, ratify, modify. And you have FE, effect, defect. So those words, root words, have the same meaning. So that's a family. That's a family of words. We're studying words by family. One of the books I would recommend the American Heritage Dictionary of the English language with the Indo-European roots in the back. Make sure it has the Indo-European root. Another book titled The Origins of English Words, a Discursive Dictionary of Indo-European Roots by Joseph T. Shipley. I'll read it again. The Origins of English Words, that's the main title. Subtitle, a Discursive, DISCURSIVE, Dictionary of Indo, all right, European Roots by Joseph T. Shipley, SHIPLEY, Joseph T. Shipley. I highly recommend this book. This is a book of Indo-European roots. This will definitely help your children, grandchildren, your children in the community, as well as yourself, in increasing your vocabulary, whereby you can increase your vocabulary by tens of thousands of words in a relatively short period of time. Why? Because you're studying words and family. Now, you're also there. So there's another family. There's 10 root words I'm going to give you. 10 root words that have the same meaning. Now, they're coming from 3 different families. Let's look at it. You have W-I-S, V-I-S, V-I-S, W-I-S, V-I-D, and you have O-C, O-P, you have scope, S-C-O-P, you have spic, S-P-I, S-P-I-C, and spec, S-P-E-C. All those root words have the same meaning. You have us as well as ID. All right? So let's look at that once again. You have V-I-S as in the word vision, V-I-D as in the word video, W-I-S as in the word wisdom, W-I-T as in witness, witty, and I, and as well as those 4 root words all have the same meaning. They're in the same family. So the Indo-European root is W-E-I-D. W-E-I-D is the Indo-European root for V-I-S, V-I-D, W-I-S, and W-I-T. Then you have, let's go to the other set of root words. S-P-C, S-P-I-C, S-P-E-C, and scope, S-P-S-C-O-P. All mean look or see. And the Indo-European root is S-K-E-T, is the Indo-European root. Now let's go to another family. O-C and O-P. O-C is in the word binocular, ocular, all right? And O-P, optometrist. And the Indo-European root is O-K with the W in the upper part of the K. So those are 3 Indo-European roots, and those are 10 root words, all have the same meaning, mean look or see. By knowing that, when you see, let's say you have a list of 3,000 words containing these 10 root words, you should be able to learn maybe those 3,000 words within a week, 2 weeks. All right? So but keep in mind, the root words all have the same meaning, and you have your prefixes and your suffixes. Prefixes will change the meaning of the word. You also have your suffixes, which will determine your part of speech of a word. So you have constitute. Constitute is a verb. You're adding the noun suffix ending, I-O-N, constitution, comes a noun. So you went from a verb, constitute, to a noun, constitution. The root word is S-T-I, which is one that I gave you, which means stand. The Indo-European root is S-T-A, all right? The other forms are S-I-S-T and S-T-A. So that's just wanted to offer that to our audience of how to increase the vocabulary. So let's look at denotation and connotation, because this is important even for tonight. This is why I'm starting with the etymology, as a guide to Christmas. Now, you have connotation and denotation. Denotation is the literal meaning of the word. You have your concrete, and you have your abstract. Connotation is your abstract. Now, what happens is, what the Greeks did, when the Greeks transliterated and translated the Hebrew text into Greek, that's called the Septuagint. Septuagint is the Greek translation of the Hebrew text. Hebrew, as well, is an agricultural-based language. You have your word, and you have your object. Word, referent. Word, signifier. So denotation is your signifier, your indicator, your pointer, your reference point. So what does the word refer to? So we have, for example, we have the word marker. So the my hand. Book. Now, what the Europeans did, the Greeks, was suppress that. They removed the reference point or pointer or object. The word, for example, the word consider, what the Greeks did was remove the reference point star. Sitiere means star, con means with. So the word consider etymologically means to consult the stars. When you remove the reference point, pointer, signifier, star, now the word has a connotative meaning. It's lost. Its true meaning is lost and has been buried. So now you have this long list of connotative meanings in entry level: to observe, to ponder, to think. So consider doesn't mean to observe, to ponder, to think. It means to observe, to ponder, think about the stars. So that's what the Greeks did. So you have the general public, the society throughout the world have been socially engineered. There's been social engineering taking place where they think connotatively. They don't have the reference point, signifier, pointer, indicator of the word. So when they say words like spirit, Jesus, Christ, God, Satan, Lucifer, they're abstract. All right? It's not abstract etymologically, but they don't have a reference point. So you say, well, what's God? You know, the Almighty. Then they give you another abstract. You know, the everlasting. The Redeemer. It's so abstract. They can't give you a reference point. All right? They can't give you an indicator, a pointer. And that's what the Greeks did. So to control your mind. All right? The mother's lost. You don't know who the mother is. All right? You don't know the source, the origin, the reference point, signifier, pointer. That's what they did. To control our minds, to steal our birthright, to usurp our sovereign power, to control our land, to occupy our land and resources. So this is so key. So this is going to be key, because I'm going to come back to this in part 2, and you're going to see how the connotation and denotation, knowing the difference. So when you speak, you know that you're speaking connotatively. You knowing that you're speaking denotatively. Understanding how to deal with both of them. Very important. All right. So that's when they offer that to the people. So we're gonna we'll go in and get into. Let's look at the etymology of some words that we're going to be using tonight. And one of the words, as you'll see, you'll hear a statement. I made the statement that Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. And I said that to the Europeans. And then I pointed to the sun. So I pointed to the reference point, indicator. All right, the actual sun. Now the actual sun has been personified. Now personification is when you take an object, i.e. a heavenly body like the sun, and you give it human characteristics. In the case of the sun, it's been given a masculine figure. The Europeans didn't do that. Our ancestors did that. We gave the actual sun a actual human form that looked like an Asiatic form. What the Europeans did was Europeanize that pre-existing Asiatic form. So that did not begin with the Europeans. Europeans did not begin personifying the star, Sirius, or personifying Venus as a woman, or personifying the moon as a woman. We did that. That's our culture. All right? The Europeans Europeanized those images. All right? So they're actually denoting heavenly bodies, the sun, or the moon, or planets, or stars. In this case, the sun denotes Jesus is the actual sun. Now, the etymology of the word, now you look at the Io is the Phoenician, the Ia is the Babylonian, The IE is the Egyptian. The IU is the Chaldean, coming from a bilateral root system. All right? 2 letters. Now, what the Europeans did was transliterate, which means trans means across, literate, which means letter, across the letter. Not translation, transliteration. They transliterated when you are reconstructing or using the morphology, which means form. So you're reconstructing the form of the word to a modern form. You're reconstructing it out of its ancient form to a modern form. It's not, Europeans don't make up words. They reconstruct or transliterate words from its ancient form to a modern form. So the name Jesus has an ancient origin. Not Roman, not English. It has an ancient origin. Its modern form, as the letter J was created in the 1500s. So it's modern form with a modern sound. The U.S. is a Latin determinant ending. It's not part of the root. The IE is the root word, and the I was transliterated to the J. And the S was added, and the U.S. is a Latin determinant ending, determining that is a masculine form. It's OS in Greek, so it's us, all right? And Jesus is the modern form. It means the Son. So when you say Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, it's the actual Son. Jesus Christ is the only begotten Son. Jesus Christ is the Redeemer. So you hear statements like that. So the Europeans and reconstructing words into modern form, and our brothers and sisters, who becomes quote unquote Afrocentric, begin to diss Jesus, thinking that it's European origin. There's no words European origin. There's no words that you can show me that has a European origin. There's no words. Every word you ever spoken in your entire life has there's no European origin. You said origin. That means beginning, source. No origin. What they did was transliterated the words into modern form to what? Claim ownership of it, to control its meaning. They buried its mother meaning, its etymology, and created connotated meanings. The word itself, they created connotated meaning. The Inquisitionists created connotated meaning to control our minds, to take us away from the culture and the philosophy that's embodied in the word, as the culture is in the language. So if you can bury the language or bury the original meaning, you what? In turn, bury the culture and the philosophy. Therefore, you bury the people mentally. So the people are mentally buried. And that mental burial is black. Black is the mental burial. So you have Moors who are classified in the United States Census Bureau as Negro color black, denoting a mental burial. Is a status, a negative status that removes our people from the constitutional form of government, removes our people politically, all right, from the right to inherit. So we make us non-descendable. So in truth, my brothers and sisters, the Europeans are blacks. George Bush, Al Gore, George Bush Sr., George Bush Jr. are black men. My male, Abdullah are white men. It's a legal status and not complexion. The Europeans orchestrated the lie, indoctrinated, socially engineered us into thinking that black and white refers to complexion, but still our birthright. We are the black. Durali said, white means purity. Purity means God. God means ruler of the land. So sovereign denotes the ruler of the land. The Europeans have claimed our sovereign power and authority by claiming the white title. And they make us believe that it refers to complexion. when in fact it refers to legal status. I had to throw that in there, Brother Ramel. I had to throw that in there. Very important. Very important that we clear that up. Very important. Very important. We got to clear this up. All right. So George Bush is a black man. George Bush, Senior and Junior, Al Gore and them, Bill Clinton are black men. They're black. Meaning that. What I mean by that they have an inferior status. They're not sovereign. They're not the sovereigns of the land. They are minorities. They are pilgrims. Pilgrim does not refer to only a certain group of Europeans. Pilgrim refers to every European on our land. Every single European on our land in the Americas are pilgrims, because the word means foreigner, distant wander, coming from the Latin word peregrinus. It means, so the L and R, so it's R in Latin, the L and R are liquid, so the R transliterated to the L in English. So the R in Latin, peregrinus, the L, pilgrim, in English. So that's how they bury it. So it means foreigner. So George Bush, Al Gore, Bill Clinton, all of them are pilgrims. They're foreigners. All of them. Whether they was born here or not. That whole birthright stealing paradigm. I'm an American, I was born here. That doesn't make anyone an American. Moors who are classified as Negro, colored, and black in the United States Census Bureau are Americans. Why? Because they're native to the land. If I were born in China, I would still be an American. Born in Iraq, still be an American. Why? Because it's based in consanguinity, bloodline, ancestry, pedigree, descent, parentage, having nothing to do with where you're born, having everything to do with biology and blood tie. They distorted that too. They distorted the definition of nationality. You can't change your nationality. How are you going to change your descent? You can't change your descent, your lineage, your ancestry, your pedigree, your parentage, your consanguinity, your bloodline. You can't change that. That's not determined where you're born. Your mother determines that. It's genetics. It's biological. So once we understand words and its proper category, then we can begin to start controlling our destiny. The Europeans control our destiny because they control the language. But what we have to do, they have a term called etymological fallacy. And what they say in etymological fallacy is that one cannot use etymology to support or discredit an argument. I refute that. It is also said that when one uses etymology, it causes confusion. Because one cannot be able to communicate effectively. All right? And what they're calling the current meaning, they refer to the modern connotative meaning as the current meaning. Etymology is always the current meaning. Etymology is always the current meaning, as that is the mother. It has been suppressed. So it has been suppressed, but it's always the current meaning. The problem is that what the issue is that the general public is not aware of the current meaning, which is etymology. What the people are calling the current meaning is a current connotative meaning. You have various connotative meanings that are developed over the period of centuries. A word may have, say, 10 or 15 connotative meanings that have developed over a period of different times. So you say you have, over a period of 400 or 500 years, a word may have been 15 or 20 connotative meanings may have been created to apply to that particular word. So what they do is they take the most recent connotative meaning and they use that as a roadmap. They use that to judge any other meaning. So we have to refute that. So I refute etymological fallacy, because one can use etymology to prove and support and discredit an argument. The European colonists created that paradigm, because so now they say, all right, no more stealing. Now they know. So now they say after they you can start stealing and stuff. Now no more stealing. Once they got the bulk of it, now they create rule no more stealing. Oh whoa, hold on. All right. Now you create this etymological fallacy term. All right, because it's to your benefit. You know that the connotative meaning suppresses the history, suppresses culture, suppresses philosophy, as culture and philosophy is embedded in the language. And now you're saying that one cannot use etymology to support or discredit the argument. Now, who wrote that? Who created that paradigm? Who created that distorted birthright philosophy? Who created that? Oh, the European colonists. Oh, of course. Of course they're going to do that. And, of course, our people, afraid of the Europeans. Of course, our people bow down to the Europeans, all right? Because we lack knowledge of ourselves, lack knowledge of our history, our nationality, our culture, our birthright. So we're afraid of the Europeans, right? We call him sovereign whites, all right? We call him native to the land. We say that they're native to the land, Americans, all right? So this is key. We have to understand language and the importance and the value that etymology has into raising our people up. And so I take this discipline very seriously because I understand its power and how we can use it to resurrect a dead people from a dead level to a living perpendicular. So when they're looking down and looking at the purpose point of a square, all right? Come on, my Masonic brothers and sisters. I'm off.
There's a lot,
right,
brother. Let me jump in there. I wanted to make a note of something that you said when you spoke about the original spelling and words used to denote Jesus Christ in the original writing. So what I did is for the audience, you can go and you can look at the original 1611 version, the King James version of the Bible. And
yes.
you'll see the words as he's saying them, exactly what he's speaking of. So what I did so that you could see it is that if you go to the Facebook Conscious Vibe, actually the show page, the event page on Facebook for this show, for tonight's show, I posted the link so that you could bring up on your computer the original King James version of the Bible. So I posted that link, and all you have to do is click it, and then you can basically go to Matthew, the book of Matthew, and then right in the first line of the book of Matthew, you'll see the original spelling as it was spelled in the original King James version, the IESUS, which should allow you to understand exactly what the brother was saying about the transliteration and translations and so on and so forth.
Right on. Good. Brother Ramel, I have someone, my woman said that she can't get on. She just texted me. She has the number. So how does she... I gave her the number. She has the number, but does she have to press 1 to actually listen on to the show, or?
No, she can just call the number in, and it'll automatically connect her to listen to the show. Right. And if she wants to comment, she presses 1.
Yes, press 1. That's what yes. All right. I'm just texting her. All right, again. All right. So, all right. I just texted her. So I'm going to, it's 10:45, so looking at, all right, so we have here, I wanted to set the ground for the second part of the presentation. And just saying etymology is not good enough. I had to give people, foundation of etymology. Right. And then it's there, as I mentioned, you have it's called comparative method. Comparative method is when you are comparing two languages, or maybe more than two more languages from different languages, from different language families. Germanic is a language family. You have the Germanic family language, a family of languages. You have English, Old English, Middle English. You have German, Old High German, Old Low German. You have Danish, Swedish, Dutch, Old Norse. Those are Germanic languages. That's a family stock of language, and they're structured that way based on their proximity of the countries, as well as the structure of the form of the words. You have your Latin languages, your Portuguese, French, Italian, Spanish, are your Latin languages. For example, let's compare Latin in modern English. You guys, it's called comparative method, where we're comparing two languages from two different language groups. So you have the word pater. The P in Latin transliterates to the F in English. The T in Latin transliterates to the TH in English. So you want from pater to father. All right? You have mater, is M-A-T-E-R, all right, as in the word maternity. And the word maternity, and it's the Spanish using the madre, all right? So you have your mother, your T and your TH. The TH in Latin transliterates to the T. The T in Latin transliterates to the TH in English, mother. You have the word pod, P-E-D, P-E-D, and that P transliterates to the F, once again, in Latin, and the D transliterates to the T, hence the word foot. So that's called reconstruction. So a word has been reconstructed as it leaves, travels from one language group into another language group. All right, so from Latin being one language group into modern English, a Germanic language group. That's called reconstruction. And this is important to understand, how, one word is reconstructed into another word, another language. So I wanted to give that to the people. Now you have what they call the basic language sound. It's called based on what they call quote unquote Grimm's law. Well, Sir Walter Jones in 1717 studied at the University of Calcutta. So he didn't come up with this system. He actually studied this concept of language, from Sanskrit. In 1717, he studied at the University of Calcutta. Once again, the Europeans claimed to establish things and so forth. It's filling. So they call it Grimm's laws. So you have three classes of sounds. You have your lip sounds. Your lip sounds, you use your lips. You use your lips to produce certain sounds. You have your teeth sounds, or your dentals. You use your teeth to produce certain sounds. You have your guttural or throat. You use your throat to produce certain sounds. So understand, again, just giving you some foundation here so that we can move on to part two of the presentation. Yes. I'm just texting on. All right. So this is so we're going to we can move into part two of the presentation. Any questions so far from the audience?
We don't have anyone with their hand up on my end.
No one with their hand up. Right.
I don't have anyone with their hand up on my end either.
All right. Let's go.
Okay.
Good.
Let me make a note, though. You want to make it clear for everyone that the reason that the brother has taken the time to go over this is because you can walk in a room with individuals who are speaking denotation. And basically they're speaking and you're thinking they're saying one thing when they're saying something totally different. And those are the things that are happening all around the planet to us as the people mainly here in the North Gate area that we call America now, where we're dealing with a connotative language. So a lot of times when you're speaking to, your PhDs, all of those people, they learn this information. They know the information about etymology, morphology, linguistics, so on and so forth, because it's part of how they get their degree in their current field. And so when you're speaking and you're saying certain words, it is totally contrary to what normally in most cases it means. Case in point, the word bad means effeminate, whereas in most cases we think it means something is negative when it truly means effeminate, and so on and so forth. So when you don't know that, and we go back to the point of vibration and words having power, which I'm sure we'll get into, as the brother keeps speaking. But our ancestors understood the science, even when you're dealing with your Hebrew language being a language that came about based on unconsidering, as we know, as looking, gazing at the stars. And the Hebrew language came about partially from reading the stars, and that became part of your script for the Hebrew language, which ends up becoming, parts of the scripts that we have today, and so on and so forth. So many people know this information, and us as a people, we have to again take a hold of it because it's ours. So you'll hear people in our ignorance, they'll say a lot of times, well, you're speaking the white man's language, or you're just playing those European word games and so on and so forth. But as the brother brought out, the Europeans have never produced a script. All scripts, all your language families, all of those things originally come out of the different glyphs and things like that come from either the meta or your different places, and so on and so forth. So it's our stuff. So we're not learning anyone else's culture. This is our culture we're learning. And the significance of what the subject matter is, you'll see that once we go into it, once he goes into it, it'll be very plain why you needed to know the roots and the denotations of these words.
Absolutely. And they point. For it was for 10 to 15 years, I didn't celebrate Christmas because I thought it was European culture. And then that, coming to the enlightenment, coming illuminated, that it actually belonged to us, and understanding its cosmological and astronomical origin. So I have a newfound, respect, a newfound appreciation for all of the holidays, a newfound appreciation. I went to Catholic school from grade 2nd to 12th grade, and I, we went to a Catholic church as well as a Methodist church. Both I went to ceremonies at 8 o'clock in the morning and 11 o'clock, and now having gaining an understanding of cosmology and astronomy as far as its rituals and headdresses. I have a greater appreciation for my experience as a child in a Catholic school, recognizing that is indeed our culture. So I was exposed to our culture. I was exposed to Moabite, Phoenician, African, Canaanite culture all my life, not knowing that it was actually ours. I see the priest come down and have the salt shaker, and shake the salt, for purification. I was exposed to a lot of the candles and the stained glass windows and the 12 stations of cross, and they Europeanized the images, but I'm now understanding what it means, so definitely having a great appreciation for that, and I'm probably one of the greatest, proponent of the holidays, knowing its origin and it actually ties to us. I'm going to read some statements here from the Bible, because I want people to understand these statements in this cosmological context. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. John 3:16. That if thou shalt confess with thy mouth the Lord Jesus, and shalt believe in thine heart that God hath raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved. Romans 10:19. For whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. Romans 10:13. Wherefore, as by one man sin entered into the world, and the death by sin, and so death hath upon all men, for that all have sinned. Romans 5:12. I'm looking to empower the people tonight, my brothers and sisters. Then Agrippa said unto Paul, almost thou persuaded me to be a Christian. Acts 26:28. But God commandeth his love towards us, in that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. Romans 5:8. I've read these so that we can become empowered. We become quote unquote Afrocentric, all right, or Muslims, which you are by birth because of the anatomy of the body. You want to throw the Bible away, all right? You want to throw the Bible away. I mean, that's the European thing. You call him the sovereign. The white man thing, you call him the sovereign, all right? That's their thing, all right? I want to look to empower you tonight. Reclaim your Bible, all right? That's your book, all right? What the Europeans did during the Nicene Council, they didn't write a Bible. They transliterated names and translated ancient texts out of its original tongue and meaning. So as they were translating, they were distorting, they were suppressing its culture, its origin, and they also Europeanized images. So they show you pictures of a European, and they call Jesus. All right, so you don't want to have anything to do with it, which is understandable. But understand, where did they get it from? Where did that European on the cross come from? What does it truly mean? What is its origin? What is its true meaning? How did they come up with that concept? All right? One day they come up with the concept. They stole it. It already existed. They just Europeanized an image. I'm going to read this. This is coming from the Arcana of Freemasonry, a history of Masonic signs and symbols by Albert Churchwood. The Arcana, ARCANA, of Freemasonry, a history of Masonic signs and symbols by Albert Churchwood. On page 40 and 41, that the dead were buried in the faith found on the mystery of the cross over 30,000 years ago is proved by the pyramid of Mendum, MEDUM, and other remains still exact. The so-called tomb of Atham, all right, of Fala in Ireland is an instance of this. The gnosis of the crucifixion, however, was the same in the stellar cult 300,000 years before this, as is witnessed by the pictograph taken from the Central American ruins. See Figure 1. It is over 200,000 years old and represents the crucifixion during the period of the stellar caught. See this, my brothers and sisters. He is crucified on the two poles, north and south. The hieroglyphics state that he is the God of the north and south. He is the God, he is the great one of the seven glorious ones. A crown of thorns is depicted on his head. His side is pierced with a spear. Wow, his side is pierced with a spear, from which blood and water is falling onto the spiritual name upon an Egyptian is Amsu, A-M-S-U. He is supported by his four brothers, Amstat, M-A-M-S-T-A, Hapi, H-A-P-I, and Tammuz, T-A-M-T-A-U-M-U-T-F, and Kafsunuf, C-A-B-N-H-S-U-N-U-F, representing Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John of the Christians. We're going to clear that up too. They're not that, but represented by the four squares. Tears are in his eyes. Ye are the tears made by my eye and your name of men. I gave the different names by which he was known in the different cultures, namely Horus of the stellar cult of the Egyptians, Huitzilopochtli of the Aztecs, Zippi of the Zapotics. All right? So this is again IU again, and EA of the Chaldeans, Assyrians, and Jews. So they didn't come up with this concept. It already existed. And there's a picture the crucified victim. There's a figure here, a crucified victim. You know, and I read the description of the picture. So this already existed, this whole concept. And so what does it represent cosmologically? So we want to show you that it didn't start with the Europeans. And I read some Bible scriptures, and we're going to explain this now. We're going to put these Bible scriptures in their context, in its cosmological and astronomical context. But I don't want you to, after tonight, walk around saying that that's the European, you're going to call him white man. Hopefully after tonight you won't call him white man, all right? Because you're calling him a sovereign, Bible, all right? So let's look again. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. So let me read this one here. That if thou shalt confess with thy mouth the Lord Jesus, and shalt believe in thy heart that God hath raised him, all right, here we go, that God has raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved. Let's talk about the raising from the dead. Death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Christmas and winter solstice explained. All right. Jesus being raised. All right, so let's talk about Jesus, the dying of Jesus. The winter solstice was yesterday. Jesus died on the cross yesterday in the northern hemisphere, above the equator. Jesus died on the cross. And what does that mean? What that means astronomically is that the sun is at its lowest point of declination, and it's hovering right now, all right, on its first day. It's buried for 3 days. It's going to be buried for 3 days, or hovered for 3 days. That's its lowest point. So solstice was, again, etymology, sol, S-O-L, Latin, is the root word I gave you, S-T-I, with other forms, S-T-A and S-I-S-T, which means stand. So the apparent motion of the sun that is standing still is at its lowest point. It's the shortest day of the year. And the sun, all right, will be at its lowest point. And when the sun begins to rise, it's going to be at its lowest point throughout the whole year. and hovering for 3 days. And after the third day, it's going to rise again from the grave. It's going to rise again from the dead. So Jesus rising again from the dead is Jesus rising from his lowest point of elevation. Now, the opposite occurs on June 21st in the northern hemisphere, above the equator. Is the sun is at its highest point of elevation. So, so the sun after dying and rising again, all right, at December 25th, and the days will get longer and longer, then it's going to continue to rise until it reaches on June 21st, is at its highest point of elevation. That's called the summer solstice, where the sun stands still and hovers for 3 days, and it's going to what? Descend. And the days we get shorter and shorter, but it's happening incrementally. So that's going. Now, if there's images where you have the sun at its highest point of elevation, during the summer solstice, and the sun is at its lowest point of elevation during the winter solstice. Now, on the March 21st and September 23rd in the northern hemisphere, the sun is on the equator. That is called the spring. March 21st is called the vernal equinox, where the sun is on the equator, equinox, equal day, it means equal night. All right, nox means night. All right, it's Latin, N-O-X, night. So you have 12 hours a day and 12 hours a night. Now, those are points, so the equinoctial points are the points where the sun crosses the equator. The solstitial points are the points of the sun's outer limits, where it's descent, its furthest descent, yesterday, December 21st, all right, and it's what? Its highest elevation. So those points are determined mathematically. So what is the sun's lowest descent? All right? What is the sun's highest elevation? And that's marked astronomically. All right, what point do the sun crosses the equator? The sun crosses the equator at 2 points, at its vernal equinoxial point and its autumnal point, all right, equinoctial point. So those are 2 points determined mathematically. It's not based in belief. You're not going to believe this into existence. You're going to what? Use mathematics and the knowledge of cosmology and astronomy to mark those points. This is ancient, thousands of years old. So these points are marked. So we're looking at, so give you a scope, a broader scope of this, and starting with the Christmas, but we're going to give you a broader scope and how these points work. Now, this is the understanding of how calendars are made, that these points are marked. Our ancestors marked these points. Now you have the Anuaketa, what they call the Sphinx in Greek. The Sphinx has a body, a head of a man, and a body of a lion. And what does that mean? And what that represents is the solstice points 2,000 years ago. Yesterday, the sun entered Capricorn. But that didn't always happen. The sun enters Capricorn, marking the winter solstice. But 2,000 years ago, you have what's called the precession of the equinoxes. Every 2,152 years, the vernal equinox moves in retrogradation, means retro, back, grad means step back. 30 degrees. It moves 1 degree every 72 years. Rule of 72? Rule of 72 they use in accounting. Oh, where did you get that from? All right? It moves 1 degree every 72 years. Moves 30 degrees every 2,152 years. That's called the precession of the equinoxes. So it's retrogression. So so Capricorn, it's from Aquarius to Capricorn. So the previous marking point where the sun entered the winter solstice point was Aquarius. All right? So that's what? The head of what? The head of the man, head of the man, Aquarius. Now, let's go to the summer solstice. The summer solstice, June 21st in the Northern Hemisphere, the sun enters Cancer, ushering in with the summer solstice. That's the marker. Prior to that, 2,000 years ago, is the Anuaketa, the Sphinx again, the body of a lion, Lion of Judah, the body of a lion, Leo, Cancer, not Cancer, Leo. Remember, retrogression now, that's back. It's Leo, Cancer, not Cancer, Leo. Leo, Cancer. So the Anuaketa or Sphinx marks the point 2,000 years ago where the summer solstice and the winter solstice entered those 2 points. Aquarius for the winter solstice and Leo for the summer solstice. Those are 2 points. Those are astronomical. So Anuaketa is an astronomical marker. This is what, come on, my brothers and sisters. All right, so the Lion of Judah represents that. The Europeans used the lion in their coat of arms, particularly England. They used the lion in the coat of arms. That's our culture. So understand, so it's very important to have a learn to have a great appreciation for our culture. How do you do that? With knowledge. Knowledge. So this is all tying in. I'm going to give you an understanding of Christmas by putting in the broader perspective. Now, so he's looking at how this works now. So in understanding the summer solstice, now you have some who refer to this as Saturnalia. Saturnalia. Why Saturnalia? Well, the sun yesterday entered Capricorn. And Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. So it's a celebration of Saturnalia. Of course it is, because its sun is ruled by Cancer. All right? Now, when Europeans would have orgies, all right? But we're going to keep in line with the astronomy, though. Because Europeans had orgies doesn't distort its astronomical reference. Because it's going to happen. It doesn't need you to have, it's because it's mathematical. So a lot of times when people read certain literature and they see orgies and they move away from it. That's why I stick with the astronomy. I stick with the astronomy and math because I don't want people to move away from it. You got to give them the math and the astronomy, something that's fixed. But I don't want people to move away from when they start reading sex orgies or this ritual, death rituals. No. That doesn't change the astronomy though. Because somebody, is orchestrating a death ritual, all right? That doesn't change the astronomy because somebody having a sex orgy, all right? Because the astronomy and the math is real. And that knowledge is used to make calendars. That knowledge is used to determine when to plant and when to harvest. But it's practical. I'm going to give you a practical approach. We want to demystify this, right? These Masons and Lodge Initiated Masonry and stars have mystified these things, all right, to keep you away from it. I want you to gravitate to it. I want you to reclaim it as your own. And you can only do that with knowledge of its astronomy and geometry. Very, very important. Then you also have, let's look at they call the baby Jesus scene. Well, the reason why they use the baby Jesus because it's what? The sun has been reborn. The sun has been reborn after this lowest point of declination. It was in a tomb for 3 days and what? Was raised from the dead. And so what? The baby Jesus concept is that it's the new sun, all right, or the sun being born again. And from that day on, from December 25th, the days are getting longer incrementally. longer by degree. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. All right, so the sun, all right, will rise sooner, all right, and earlier, and earlier, and earlier. And then on March 21st, which is not the resurrection of Jesus. Spring is not the resurrection of Jesus, my brothers and sisters. You're not celebrating the resurrection of Jesus. The resurrection of Jesus will occur in 3 days, December 21st. Astronomically speaking, mathematically speaking, December 21st is the resurrection of Jesus, not March 21st. Jesus does not rise on March 21st. All right? Now let's talk. What they mean, the resurrection of Jesus. What occurs is Jesus is on the equator. Christ is on the equator, which is the actual sun, on March 21st. It leaves the Tropic of Capricorn and enters the Tropic of Cancer. All right? On the equator, March 21st, 12 hours a day and 12 hours a night. But that's not a resurrection, though. The resurrection occurred as Jesus is right now in the tomb. The resurrection is going to occur on March 25th because the sun, at its lowest point of elevation, yesterday, hovering still for 2 more days, and it's going to rise incrementally. That's the resurrection of Jesus Christ. All right? So Jesus is all what Jesus is doing on March 21st is going to cross the equator, all right, or pass over. It's going to pass over, all right, or pass, all right, the equator. It's going to leave the Tropic of Capricorn once again on the equator, and then what? Rise above the equator. They're calling that the resurrection, but that's not astronomically and mathematically speaking. That is not the resurrection of Jesus, because the resurrection of Jesus began on December 25th. All right? So I want to break that down because it's, yes.
I just want to make sure I'm following you. What Please. You're saying is that as the winter solstice on December 21st, which was yesterday, the sun, which they now refer to as Jesus Christ, was at its lowest point.
Yes.
It is going to rise to its highest point on December 25th.
No, not. It's going to. It rises to its. Thank you. It rises to its highest point on June 21st.
June 21st.
June 21st is its highest point. That's the summer solstice. That's its highest point. It begins to rise, all right, on December 25th. All right? Meaning that on December, begins to rise. I mean, so now because it's resurrecting. All right, it begins to rise. Yeah. So now, the day later is what? It's going to rise one degree. All right, 1 degree. Okay. It may be a few seconds earlier. All right, and then a few more days later, a couple minutes, then 2 weeks later. All right, and I have a chart which I can't find that actually shows incrementally the time period in which the sun rises by degree, by weeks, and then you begin to see it rising earlier and earlier and earlier. All right.
Right.
So that's it right there. All right. So actually, so you can have in that point where until it reaches March 21st, the days you have 12 hours a day and 12 hours a night. You have that's what's called that's why it's called the equinox, because you have 12 hours a day, 12 hours a night. March 21st December 21st is the shortest day of the year. The June 21st is the longest day of the year. So it's understanding the astronomy, and the geometry that's with it. Right. So thank you. You have another question?
Thank you for explaining it. Because I know I tell my kids that now the days are going to start getting longer, and just watch. The days will be longer, but when they manipulate the time with the whole daylight savings time, and that's all another ploy to keep us away from our true knowledge and history anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm just happy that you're taking this route. Thank you very much.
Right, yes, absolutely. Yeah, we have to take this route because this is what it really is. Yeah, because you got to demystify it. There's no other route to take.
Right.
Because it's mathematics.
Right.
It's astronomy. There's no other route to take that is going to free the people, that's going to elevate their mind. Because we got to get back to the math. Because you can't apply
religion.
Go ahead, sister.
Religion steers you away from astronomy, and it wants to keep it a mystery, so you don't really know. It's just interesting, and it's amazing how that's done. But I see it clearly. The more I pay attention and the more I notice things, I see how religion, it always shuns you away from the astronomy and learning about the stars and astrology and things like that. But that's all a ploy to keep you from knowing who you really are, from where you really came. So that's all I want to say.
All right, and I appreciate that. Let me just clarify a point. Religion is what I'm talking about right now. I'm talking religion. This is a religion. This is a religious lesson that I'm giving right now. Religion is cosmology. Religion is astronomy. This is religion that I'm talking now. What you're calling religion is mind control. All right?
Okay.
The Europeans use the rituals. They use the symbols, the rituals, the architecture, the ceremonies are based in cosmology and astronomy. Yes, it is. The headdress, the guard, all that. That's all ours. But they're not telling the people that. All right? What they're doing is they're using the power of the symbols, the power of the guard, the power of the headdress, the power of the ceremony to draw the people. But they're not giving the people the religion that's mind control. So the people are not given religion. They're giving a mind control, birthright stealing, cultural suppressing, philosophical suppressing paradigm, and not religion. Religion is not taught in any church in the world. Religion is not taught in any synagogue in the world. Religion is not taught in any mosque in the world. No mosque, no church, no synagogue teaches religion. Anywhere in the world. Church, in fact, most people don't go to church. They're going to church right now. Anyone who's listening to me right now, anyone who's listening to the sound of my voice are in church. You're going to church. Church means circle, denoting the zodiac. All right? So most people do not go to church. They go to a building that is aligned astronomically. The building is aligned astronomically. All right? There's a book called The Sun in the Church, Cathedrals as Observatory. The Sun in the Church, Cathedrals as Observatory by J.L. Habron. Now, Hebron. Now, what he shows through documentary evidence, that there were 4 churches in Europe that were used primarily as observatories. One church in Bologna was used as an observatory. There was over 4,000 observatories in a period of 200 years. There's what's called a cinquefoil hole in the roof, and there's a metal plate, a steel plate that is placed along the floor that marks the positions of the sun during the vernal equinox, during the summer solstice, during the winter solstice, that they were able to determine based on the position of the sun along what they call the meridian line, which is a steel plate, a meridian line they called it. They were able to determine what season it was based on the position of the sun along the meridian line. There were 4,000 documented observatories. That the church, the building itself, is an observatory. All right? Now, we don't talk that's church. This is what they're covering up. And those who go visit these churches, these cathedrals, are not aware of its astronomical origin or astronomical construction, that the building itself was constructed for astronomical purposes. The church, the sun in the church, S-U-N, the sun in the church, cathedrals as observatories. You got to get people some real knowledge. All right? That's religion. That's religion. We're talking. This is religion class tonight. All right, so we'll continue here. So now, Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun. All right, now, let's talk about the unconquered sun, Sol Invictus. Now, they said Jesus is wrestling with the devil or Satan. Now, you have what that represents is the light over darkness. You know, that battle, that astronomical phenomenon that occurs, right, when you now moving from the summer solstice to the autumnal equinox or fall. And the reason why it's called fall, all right, not because the leaves fall, all right, it's called fall because once again, all right, the sun is on the equator on September 23rd in the northern hemisphere, and it drops or falls below the equator, all right, on the equator, and it's going to descend, all right, because the days will get shorter and shorter, all right, but it drops or falls below the equator. That's why it's referred to as fall. Now, so now the force that Jesus wrestling with the forces of darkness or wrestling with the devil concept is where the darkness is going to overtake the sun. All right, the darkness is going to overtake the sun because it's going to days will get what? Shorter and shorter. And that's what that refers to. It's astronomically. It's all astronomy. So that's something that you can teach your son here. Santa Claus and the reindeer. Here we go. I love this. Now, the concept of Santa Claus and the reindeer, the sleigh, if you Google the Big Dipper, D-I-P-P-E-R, Big Dipper and Little Dipper, and notice what it looks like. The Big Dipper looks like, you can see the sleigh concept. See the sleigh, and the extension of that would be the reins for the reindeer. So the Santa Claus sleigh is the Big Dipper. And Santa Claus going around the world throughout the night in a 24-hour period. The Big Dipper rotates around a fixed star called Polaris in 23 hours and 56 minutes. So that story that you see every year is based in truth. It's not made up. They don't make up stories. There's no made up stories. It's based in astronomy. It's that we don't know the origin, and they didn't come from the Europeans. They just Europeanized the images. So watch those shows and explain to your children the astronomical origin of the shows. So take them to something that they relate to, the reindeer and the Santa Claus, that whole story, and show them the picture of the Big Dipper, and so they can see this correlation in the concept of Santa Claus going around the world. The Big Dipper moves around, rotates around the fixed star, the pole star, they call the pole star or the North Star, Polaris, in a 24-hour period. Santa Claus living in the North Pole. There's that whole concept there, Polaris. So there. Now, the stars that are predominant during the winter are Orion, the 3 pole stars of Orion's belt, Sirius, the dog star. You have Polaris, as well as Pleiades. Pleiades is a constellation of 7 stars. And that constellation of 7 stars, you know, the Pleiades there, you see in Kwanzaa they have the 7 candles. They're using the 7 candles there. You have there the concept of the 7. We also refer to Pleiades as well as the moon. That's where that 7 days a week come in. The reason why there's 7 days a week, because it's actually the moon calendar. It's the lunar calendar. All right, this is not the Gregorian calendar. There's no such calendar. There's no such calendar as Gregorian calendar. There's no such calendar as the Julian calendar. There's no such calendar. You can't use no Gregorian calendar because it doesn't exist. They took pre-existing Egyptian compilation charts from Konscious in 1610. The pre-existing Egyptian compilation chart. So that they didn't develop a calendar. It already existed. This is, in truth, this is the Egyptian calendar that you used all your life. This is the Egyptian calendar that you used all your life. The 365 days is based off the cycle of Sirius, the dog star. That's where they get the 365 days from, the cycle of Sirius, the dog star. And what they did was, in 1510, Pope Gregory, what he did was to make adjustments. They made calculation adjustments. So he had to he had to jump the calendar 10 days, from September 23rd from September 13th to September 23rd. So it's an example. He had to jump the calendar 10 days for that 1 year to keep up with the calculation. All right, because there's a quarter day lapse every year. Remember, this is the Egyptian calendar. So they're making minor adjustments as they go. And this is where the leap year comes in, because there's a quarter day lapse every year. And that quarter day every 4 years is 1 day. So this is where that leap year comes in, because they're using the Egyptian calendar today. Not no Gregorian calendar and not a Julian calendar. All right? You have in 300 BC, around 300 BC area, well, actually 125 BC, the Roman Senate, actually using the Egyptian calendar, they made adjustments from a pre-existing Egyptian calendar. They didn't develop a calendar. No European calendar to follow. So understanding where Sirius plays in this. But we're going to talk. Sirius plays a important role on January 1st. January 1st is where Sirius is not a new year. New year is marked by astronomy, by a birth of a star. But you actually use a star to base your agriculture society by. But it has to be a birth. It has to be a beginning point. So July 4th is the birth of Sirius, the dog star, where Sirius and the sun are in 0 degrees, which is called conjunction. That's the birth of Sirius, the dog star. And where Sirius and the sun, 6 months later, today, the Earth and Sirius are in conjunction. It was the Earth and the sun in conjunction, all right? 6 months later, the Earth and Sirius are in conjunction. On December 31st, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, every new year, the Earth and Sirius are in conjunction, and Sirius is in the midheaven at the highest point in the sky. It can be seen in most parts of the world. It's not the new year. because it's not the birth of Sirius. The birth of Sirius took place 6 months earlier. So 6 months later, Sirius is at its high point in the sky, and it's at its culmination point in April. And it's in the duat, or behind the sun. It can't be seen because it's behind the sun for a period of 70 days. This is the Egyptian calendar. The Egyptians marked the new God, marked the night sky by beacons, by 36 in sections pushing the sky in 36 parts. Beacons. The word beacon in the church means 10. Beacon means 10. Our decade, December 10. It's because it marks to measure the time by night. You can't use you cannot use a tekken, what they call in Greek an obelisk. You cannot use an obelisk to measure time at night. An obelisk is a tekken or obelisk is used to measure time during the day, the casting of the shadow. And once again, the checkerboard floor, my brothers and sisters, the checkerboard floor, all right, they're used in the side borders. All right, the checkerboard floor, black and white. All right, the shadow, light, shadow, light, shadow, light, walking, all right, because you can determine the time of the year based on the length of the shadow, all right? The time that moves right into Groundhog Day. We're going to go into that too. This is all connected. So there's this false concept of New Year. It's not, January 1st, see, that's the European, New Year. No, that's not a European. That's not a New Year for anybody. It's not. We got to get to the math. It's not because it's based mathematically. It's not because Europeans say it. It's not. No, it's based mathematically. It's not the birth of a star. January. The Europeans, when they determined when a presidential inauguration was to happen, it was based on Venus. Up until 1932, it was Venus. George Washington, so forth, and before that, it was based on what's called the helical rising of Venus. But because Venus is not fixed, they wanted to use a fixed star. All right, Sirius is fixed. So January, it was constitutionally enactment, and their amendment was done. Where now January 20th is what? The presidential inauguration. Which January 20th is where Sirius is in the night sky the longest. It's in the midheaven or highest point of the sky on January 1st. January 20th, presidential inauguration, is in the night sky the longest. See, once you understand, we follow these, we follow the astronomy, and these dates that are done, legislation, different points, different when they go to war, all right, certain things that they do. Follow the astronomy, all right? Because that's how this is the culture now. Laws of nature, nature's God. The Declaration of Independence, there's a phrase called the laws of nature and nature's God, and this is what the Europeans using our culture, which is masonry, to guide their destiny, and they're using our culture to keep us suppressed because they have the knowledge of it and we don't. So they know when to attack us. They know when the energy is in their favor. Because remember, we're not using, the knowledge. We're not using the astronomy. We just do things. We just do things. No, Europeans don't just do things. They use the stars to guide to attack us. They're using the stars to attack us. They're using knowing when to attack us. All right, when to put out certain legislation. All right, they're using this knowledge. They're using the knowledge of masonry to keep us oppressed. And we have to use the knowledge of masonry to free our people. I'm going to use the knowledge of masonry to free our people. They're using the knowledge of masonry to oppress us. The same knowledge, same system. It's their intent. Their intent is to oppress us. Their intent is to maintain our occupation of our land. Their intent is to commit genocide on us. Ali's intent was to free us. Ali was a humanitarian. Europeans are not humanitarians. Come on, Shriners. You are not humanitarians. I know you got the Shriners Hospital, but I'm going to say we can do the same thing. Give us back our birthright. Come on, European Shriners. Restore the land to us. All right? You're taking the honor. You have control of our resources. You are occupying our land, and you're giving the honor of starting the Shriners Hospital with our resources. How can I ever call you humanitarian? And the only way for Europeans to be humanitarians, this has to be their birthright. If this is not their birthright, you cannot use another people's birthright, another people's resources, another people's land, and you're using color law, the secret treaty of Verona. You're using the doctrine of discovery. You're using the black code. You're using genocide. You're using the King Arthur plan to suppress us. Using color law and color courts to suppress us. How in the world are European races humanitarian? I want anybody to tell me, call in to explain to me how the European Masons are, the Shriners are humanitarians. They are oppressing us. You cannot oppress another people and call yourself humanitarians. In order for them to be humanitarians, this would have to be their birthright, and they would have to extend their birthright to others. They're not extending their birthright to others. They are oppressing a people to which to do it. They are wrecked the Shriners Hospital by oppressing a people to which to do it. That's not humanitarianism. Talk to me. Talk to me. Talk to me. All right, so any questions? Anybody's hands up? Any hands up?
What you got over there, boss lady?
I don't have any hands up over here. Everybody's just listening.
All right, good, good.
Let me interject one point before we move forward, because I know a lot of maybe the new listeners and so on and so forth may not understand why the use of masonry and so on and so forth. So I just want to make it clear, masonry is what or I should say, the understanding of cosmology and all these things are what we taught the Europeans. And so this becomes your masonry today. And so when the brother is speaking about using masonry to free us, i.e. give us the knowledge and so on and so forth, that's what he's dealing with. It's our stuff. And they have not invented, as he keeps bringing out, any of these things. These are things that we taught them. So when you're looking at Thales or you're looking at Pythagoras, when you're looking at all these people, these are people who were taught by us these different schools of thought and reason and have taken it back and now, as you said, have Europeanized it and used it as a tool for suppression of our birthright. And so
absolutely.
Do not look past or do not allow people to keep steering you from masonry and all these other things. Study it. This is why we keep going back into those books, because they are the keepers of the knowledge. Well, it's our knowledge that they're keeping. So it's time for us to go back and get it. Islam.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's look at the Christmas tree. The Christmas tree is called the Axa Munda, the world's axis. And you have Sirius, the dog star, as I said, Sirius, Orion, and Pleiades are what they call the winter constellations. And so Sirius is the dog star. And I gave you the January 1st, where Sirius is at its midheaven, or highest point in the sky. And when they go to New York on December 31st, they have this big thing in New York when they do the countdown, what they call quote-unquote New Year parties, celebration, BS. All right? You know, the celebration, I have no problem with the celebration. The problem is that they call it New Year. All right? Because they give an honor to Sirius, as being highest point in the sky. I have no problem with, giving honor to Sirius. Sirius is going to be in highest point in the sky. All right? Can be seen in most parts of the world. It's very important. all right, where Sirius and the Earth is in conjunction. Very important, all right? But they're calling it the New Year. That's the issue. It's distorted that they're calling it the New Year. So when the ball drops 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, all right, and they say Happy New Year, it's really the celebration of Sirius being in the highest point of the sky. You know, it's not the birth of Sirius, so, because the important point would be 6 months earlier, where Sirius rises. It's called the helical rise of Sirius because that flooded, now the Nile River flooded, was brought about at the soot or black mud, which is high in nutrients, to the surface and fertilized the Nile Valley. So that is really the important point there because it's tied to agriculture. And these particular holidays were tied to agriculture. They were not, celebrated for the mere of celebrating that they do today because the astronomical knowledge, the agricultural knowledge is lost. So they just become mere celebrations, celebrating, hey, let's go party type thing, That's the celebrations took place, the 12 days of Christmas concept, where celebrations last that long, absolutely. But it's celebration of the harvest, celebration because they had the knowledge of the astronomical purpose of it. That's not done today, where you just, giving gifts and what are you celebrating? Oh, are they celebrating? They say they celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ, and they are. They are. But they think Jesus Christ is a European with brown hair, blue eyes.
Mm-hmm.
They're not looking at Jesus Christ as being the actual Son. So the astronomical knowledge is lost. This is mind control. When the astronomy of it is not taught, because now you're controlling people's minds, and you have an economic system in place where you got your economics there, and they come in every year, so they've been coming for 60 years, and you got to over and over again. So this is mind control, it's not religion. And I said before that the symbols, the rituals, the Bible, all right, is based in it's religion. The Bible is a religious tool. It's astronomy, all right. The rituals, the headdress, the architecture of the buildings, the ceremonies, and all that is religion. All that is religious, all that. But the people are not giving the origin, the true meaning of it. So what the people are giving is mind control. All right, so I don't want people to be attached from the Bible, be attached from the ceremonies, be attached from the holidays, be attached from the headdresses, be attached from that's all ours. And it's all based on astronomy and cosmology. We claim that. We claim that which is lost. Restore the people to power by giving them the true knowledge of their birthright, their nationality, their history, their culture, their philosophy, by teaching them the truth about their nationality and birthright and teaching the truth that our land is currently under European occupation. The Pilgrims control our land, and the Pilgrims call themselves Americans. So when the Pilgrims call themselves Americans, they're calling themselves natives to the land. It's a false tradition. So the natives of the land, those who are classified as nigger, colored, and black, natives to the land, call the Europeans white Americans, you in turn call them the sovereign natives of the land.
Yes, ma'am.
Give them the sovereign power.
Brother. I wanted to ask a couple of questions to make sure that a couple of different things are gotten out to them. So, do you mind giving them, the audience, a brief on a couple of the ornaments, such as the mistletoe, the Christmas tree, or even a brief on the origin of Saint Nick? Those are things I think they could easily remember, so that when they have these conversations at the Christmas celebration that they're more than likely going to be at, they can easily remember that because that's something that they're going to see.
No problem. Now the Saint Nick is comes from an actual a Moor Saint Maurice. It's patterned after the Moor. Saint Maurice in Germany was very magnanimous. He was very generous, and he actually went around and gave gifts. And so the Europeans Europeanized him. All right, they Europeanized the dark olive, Saint Maurice, and called and have this character Saint Nicholas. All right. So that's where that comes from. So it's still stealing, because they're not giving credit to Saint Maurice. They're not giving honor. Though they honor Saint Maurice in Germany, yes, but Saint Maurice is not honored here. Europeans they give honor to. That's not Saint Maurice though. Mm-hmm. All right. So let's look at that now. The outfit that the character Santa Claus wears is a shaman outfit. And the red and white mushrooms, mascara, the candy canes, the red and white candy canes, this is red and white, they use the red and white ones. And now they're starting to use the green, but the red and white candy canes are emblematic of the red and white mushrooms, which is high in hallucinogenics, all right? And the DMT, which is actually produced naturally in the pineal gland, DMT. And so the shamans would have the suit that you see now, all right, the red and white suit with the black boots, and they would go out and pick the mushrooms, all right. So this is based in truth, though, shaman. So the red and white suit is not some made up fictitious BS. It's an actual suit worn by the shamans with the black boots. That's the outfit. And then the red and white candy canes, as I said. So that's what that relates to there. So it will give you a understanding of that. Now you're looking at so we talked about the sleigh. We talked about I gave you the Christmas tree is the axis, the axle point pole, by which the Earth rotates. The Earth rotates on a 23.5 degree tilt. It rotates on its axis and it's tilted at 23.5 degrees. So that tilt there, that Christmas tree representing that world axle point. To understanding that. And then tying right to even looking at even the direction of the pole star and how you define the pole star by looking at first finding the Big Dipper and then leading right to the Little Dipper, and right to the right of the Little Dipper is Polaris. And this is where you say Santa Claus lives in the North Pole. That whole concept there. It all ties to being able to find Polaris, as Polaris is the North Star, or they call the navigational star. And those navigators use the North Star to guide their ships. The three Kings Day, where the three kings denote Orion's belt, as Orion's belt is the three stars, or what's called three pole stars of Orion's belt. And to find Sirius, the dog star, you find Orion, as Orion is the pointer. Orion leads the way, or what's called the archer or pointer concept. Let's jump to, since I'm on Orion, you have Cupid and Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day, and the concept of Cupid is the Orion. The Betelgeuse is a bright red star. That's what's called it's called the Valentine star. It's a bright red star, and that's why Valentine's Day is red, because it's emblematic of Betelgeuse. And Orion, and is then or Betelgeuse is in the constellation of Orion's belt, and that's why you have the archer, the Cupid there. So that's Orion and Betelgeuse. So that's when you make that tie there, all right? So that connection, because I want to, as I'm doing Christmas, I want to also take the opportunity to give, things that are close to it, I'm not going to deal with all of them, because it's not the show for that, but I can at least deal with some of them, with that. So with that, even let's looking at Groundhog Day, which is February 2nd, and the concept of groundhog seeing his shadow, not seeing his shadow, is where, as I said before, you can determine the time of the year based on the length of the shadow. So this is a big celebration. The Europeans have big celebrations and gather on Groundhog Day. But once again, the astronomical knowledge is lost. Now, why groundhog? And you actually see in caves where you see paintings of groundhog, because you can determine the hibernation patterns by determine the time of year by observing the groundhog hibernation patterns. This is why the groundhog was observed, for several thousand years. So this not some made up. They looking at some groundhog. Some Europeans don't know what the hell they doing, how they selling Europeans looking at. All right, yeah, that's because we lack knowledge of everything. So we come like that. All right. So this is why I'm offering this to the people to empower this, because you have January 1st coming up, you have Groundhog Day, February 2nd, then you have Valentine's Day, February 23rd, February 14th. So these are right around the corner. So that's why I'm focusing on those things right around the corner. So there's yes.
Let me interject. So we're coming up on 2 minutes. Can you, before we go ahead and in the winding out comments, can you finish up 30 seconds or whatever you need them to know, so I can allow the boss lady to close out her show and I close out mine.
All right. Yes. All right. Once again, my brothers and sisters, that these holidays are yours. They're not European holidays. This calendar that this calendar that you use every day is not a European holiday, Bulgarian calendar or Julian calendar. All right. I want it for I have on my website. Once again, it's moorcivilletter.net. moorcivilletter.net. I have videos. I have astronomy page. I have an etymology and reading page. I have a semantics page, grammar page. Also you can go to rvbaypublications.com, rvpublications with an S.com. So a lot of riches on there, a lot of history. So my site and rvbaypublications.com. I trust that I was able to illuminate you, as Illuminati is not some European secret society. Illuminati refers to the illumination of the mind, the elevation of the Kundalini energy. That Christ within you is the oil that flows that is secreted in the brain, flows from the brain down to the anus, sexual genitals, all right? And so the Christ rising in you is that oil flowing back to the brain, all right? So, Kanaanland. So it refers to the oil in Egyptian, all right? So I just want to give the people that there. So I plan to go more into that, but, it's only so much, I can go into. All right, so I want to thank you. So, Stacey, we wind it down here, Brother Ramel?
Yeah, I need to let the boss lady close out before she...
All right, no problem, bro. I want to thank you for having me, and I trust I'm invited back to, illuminate the people, even more.
All right, boss lady.
I just want to say in closing, thank you very much, Brother Bay, for sharing your knowledge tonight. We will be in touch. I have a lot of questions that I didn't want to interrupt your flow, but I do have some things that I want to follow up with. So I want to thank our listeners for calling in, tuning in tonight, and we want to wish everyone a happy holidays. And
happy holidays.
Back over to you, Brother.
Well,
thank you.
I'll keep it brief. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. I mean, the brothers... On my particular show, we really don't do a lot of banter and back and forth when I invite guests on. So it's always a task for my guests to come on because I allow them the space to teach a whole lesson and not a lot of banter. So it's not a conversational show. So I appreciate very much when we have brothers like Abdullah come on who are really willing to lay down a complete lesson. So hopefully we did some good. Hopefully everyone benefited. And thank you, brother, for coming on and sharing your knowledge. It was dynamite.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
All right.
So once again, happy holidays.
All right. Happy holidays and peace and love, everyone.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.